Hi guys, I just wanted to talk about the feeling of belonging and also the confusion of feeling like you know all the things that you want to do and then those things change so quickly. And I think this is a very human thing, whether this is related to me having ADHD or not. I think it's incredibly human to change your mind and feel scattered and question if you're doing the right thing. But I get it so bad to the point of like paralysis, like to the point where I'm honestly, it feels like someone's pulling this arm, someone else is pulling this arm, and they're just like both pulling so hard, and sometimes one of them's pulling harder, so I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do that. One of them's pulling harder, yeah, I'll do that. And it just I guess it does feel like it tears me open, because it's like when you have so much passion and so much energy and so much drive to want to do something, but then all of a sudden something else pops up and something else pops up, I can find it really hard to know which thing to pour the most attention into, or to what to focus on, because to me they all feel just as important and just as worthy of my love and care and attention. I just realised Totoro. See, Totoro, the thing about Totoro is he freaks me out in the night. And bear in mind, I was raised on Studio Ghibli films, right? But I have to do this in the night because I've woken up before, right? And I've just been lying down, just like really chill, really happy, lying down, open my eyes. Oh my days! Like, imagine, right? Close your eyes a minute. Close your eyes. Okay, close your eyes. Open. Like, that's scary. And even though I know he's a good guy, like, he does have to get, he can't face me while I sleep anymore, because I've become sensitive as I've gotten older. And stuff like that is enough to ruin your whole day, you know? Waking up with his scary smile, just like... But yeah, anyway, see, that's a good example of me getting distracted. But I just think, like, I try and write things down. Well, I do write things down, and I like break things into baby steps. But the issue is with me is I kind of like really do operate in bursts of hyperfocus, which when you're in that hyperfocus, oh my gosh, it just feels like heaven, because like the ideas are coming, you've got the motivation to break things down into digestible steps, you have the motivation and energy to follow through, it's exciting, you've got the dopamine going, it's all going crazy. But then if you have like that, for me, I do that's like an evening thing, or like that happens on one random day, and I go to sleep like, oh my gosh, tomorrow's gonna be a great day, I'm gonna get back to these things. I wake up in the morning, I feel like someone has hammered me around the head with a baseball bat multiple times, yeah, thrown me in a lake, pulled me out, or nah, not even pulled me out, they're gone, they're far gone, they're running away. Then I've crawled out of this lake with head injuries, yeah? Found a nice bush to hide in, dried up in the sun, dehydrated, and then I wake up and there I'm out. So maybe not to your surprise, I don't feel the most like excited to get on with my creative pursuits, because I feel like that, like I've just described. And that's how I feel most days when I wake. Which can be, I mean, it's not the most exciting way to wake up, is it? So yeah, I really want to try and find a way to boost the mornings, or maybe even just sort of, instead of like trying to like force myself into the box of like, oh yeah, I need to be productive in the morning, maybe just spend the morning trying to get rid of that I've been hit with a baseball bat feeling, which is what I tend to do, and then notice where I naturally get more energy, because I don't know what the time is now because I'm recording on my phone and I don't wear a watch. I need to get a watch. Oh, I'll ask my Kindle, what's the time? The time is, what is it? The time is 7:45. 7:45 and I'm live. Like I'm awake. I'm awake right now. And even though I'm feeling like sleepy physically, like, because I've had quite an intense day, which I'm not going to get into, but it's just been a crazy day. Mentally, everything, I'm firing on all cylinders, if that's the saying correctly. It's funny, when I vlog, I notice that I say sayings that I don't normally say in real life, like little, and I'm like, that's why I have to check myself, because I'm like, what? I don't even know if that is a saying. But it's funny what comes out of you when you stick a camera in front of you. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, I really do want to figure out how to like structure my day in a way that isn't against what my body wants to do. So as a person, naturally, and then also as a neurodivergent person, both with autism and ADHD, and on top of that as a woman. So we've got all these different things that are like, I have to take into account, because I think it's way too easy for me to be like, oh yeah, cool, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m, which I really want to do, by the way, really want to do. But then the alarm goes off, baseball bat, like literal baseball bat. Like, I don't know what I'm meant to do with that. So I know, like, as you wake up at that time, your body adjusts. But I do think there's a fine line between like baseball bat and like, okay, let me just push myself a little bit and actually just get up and have some caffeine. The thing with me is I love caffeine. Like, when you're someone who experiences anxiety a lot, quite often, caffeine, not the biggest vibe. So what I do is I make sure that I eat something substantial first, with like high protein, like at least 20 grams of protein, but ideally more, like probably 30 overall. Carbs, like fats, everything. Have my supplements that I have, and then let that just sit for a little bit, and then like, you know, start to go down, whatever. And then I'll have my, I like these things called little Perfect Teds. They're like matcha drinks, cold, that you put them in the fridge, little cans. And ideally I would just get my own matcha powder and but I'm trying to be less less of a perfectionist when it comes to everything I'm consuming, because I went really far one way where I was like, oh my gosh, everything has to be organic, everything has to be whole foods, there can't be anything like sus in there. And it got to the point where I was getting a bit ED, and I was like, nah, we've got to put it back a little bit. So just being a human, convenience is sometimes what you need. And then on top of that, being someone who has like struggles with executive functioning because I'm neurodivergent, it's like, that's something that's important to really weigh up and be like, okay, cool. So I could either try and be perfect and like wait till I can afford like a £500 matcha powder before I start this, or I could be like, oh, I've got this drink that I really enjoy, it makes me feel really good. Maybe there's like one ingredient, or it's in a can, which I don't love, but it makes me have a great day. Like, you have to, I think it's important to weigh these things up sometimes and like pick what battle is worth fighting sometimes with these health things. So yeah, when I have one of those drinks, I get this thing, like my brain, whatever it is in my brain, I'm pretty sure it's the ADHD, that like just needs dopamine, needs it, because I'm obviously in a deficit. Like if you're ADHD, you're in a dopamine deficit. And with the way that we can get dopamine in society today, in this day and age, it's very cheap dopamine, as we all know, as everyone's going on about. But that's not enough to sustain you. So what I like to do is sort of, I don't use Instagram really. I maybe scroll on it once every other week for like 10-15 minutes, and then that's it. And that's usually on my laptop because I don't like having it on my phone. I only have it on my phone if I post. So I avoid like short form content for the most part. It's just, I just use it as and when, but I am still like I do consume too much content in general, even though it is long form content. But what I like to do is once I've eaten and I have my drink, then it starts kicking in. That part of my brain, or the parts of my brain, start waking up and they're like, oh my gosh, wait, I'm a human and I can like do things. Oh, this is crazy. This is how other people feel. Amazing. Like I can actually function. And then at that point, it's important I keep things going. So before I was having caffeine, because it was spiking anxiety and panic attacks and things like that, it was very much, I was trying to be very calm all the time, very chill, very slow, very chill. That was like my whole goal. So very much herbal tea that was calming, grounding things, blah, blah, blah. And that's great. And I still incorporate a lot of that into my life, like meditation, breath work, EFT tapping, like these things. But while I've got that sort of stuff, really, I'm very good at using that as and when I need for the most part. What I struggle with more is then, okay, cool, you're feeling pretty good, now let's go. Because there's one thing to meditate for an hour, and that's blessed, but then 3, 4, that's too much to be doing regularly, in my opinion. I think there were definitely periods in my life where I needed to meditate for that many hours a day, and I did. But now I'm at a point in my life where I want to have that stuff as like the base, and I do it most days. But then I'm taking action now, because that's sort of the phase of my life that I'm in. I'm in the, okay, cool, you've done all of the grounding, the healing, the calming, the regulating, and I will continue to do those things, but I really want to actually live now, because it's time to like, yeah, it's time to actually step into what it is that I want to be doing. And a part of the reason that I wake up with little motivation is because I don't have a lot on at the moment. Like there's not a lot on, I don't have mad responsibilities, my days are pretty much structured by myself. And that's good and bad, you know, it depends if you're the sort of person who is good at structuring your days, and being like, okay, cool, maybe not necessarily time blocking, because that can be a bit restrictive for me, but having a list visible somewhere, not in my phone because I'll just forget about it, but I have it on my whiteboard or up on the wall, and I do it in my journal as well, hopefully the night before I sleep. But sometimes just in the morning when I get that feeling of like, oh my gosh, like I've got no purpose, what the hell am I even doing here, I might as well just leave. Then I'm like, okay, wait, let me brain dump everything that I know that really I do have to get done. Even the mundane things like give my cat his medication or something like that. But then you actually look down and you're like, oh wait, I've got bare to do. Let's get up and let's start ticking them off. Then for me, it's a matter of being like, okay, am I going to tick off an easy one or a hard one? And I like to allow myself to pick and choose that a little bit. I tend to start the day off with some of the easy wins. So when I've got that really tired feeling and maybe I haven't even had my caffeine yet because maybe it's before I've eaten or just after I've eaten, I'll like to do a couple of the really easy ones, something I can do in 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get the momentum going. And also in that time I'm waking up a little bit, maybe I've had my caffeine. And then, yeah, just as the day goes on and energy builds, and then there's a little dip again, and then it builds again. I think the best thing for me at this season in life and at this part of my cycle, which is at the end of my period, is to, sorry, I can hear my brother's music and it's distracting me like crazy. Oh my God, sorry. Then I will do the bigger tasks at this sort of time. For example, filming this, I didn't even think I was going to film today. Definitely didn't think I was going to film today. Here we are, a video, and it's going to just be a one take, so I can just bash it up, with love, but bash it up, and just get it out there. So yeah, I think it's important to find what works for you, and that's going to be different for everyone, but it's trial and error. It's like, do I need caffeine? Do I need movement in the morning? I think an important thing for me is movement in the morning. And the problem is that's really difficult for me because I struggle with transitions. So that might look like transitions between rooms, which is a way, but then transitions between comfy sleeping clothes and tight workout clothes or running clothes. I know you don't necessarily need tight running clothes, but you do, as a woman, you do want that on the top because otherwise it just hurts and it's uncomfortable, even if you have small boobs like me. So yeah, that's difficult. And then to get outside into the cold from the warmth of your room is difficult. But I think that is like kind of a missing piece for me. It's like my daily morning movement. So yeah, I'm kind of putting this out there as a little, just me to be able to speak about these things, but also as a reminder that if you're suffering with or struggling with any of these things, that you're not alone, and that there's always a way that you can figure it out. And that's a reminder I need for myself, is like, even when it feels like there's no way you could figure this out and your mental health is just in a hole and you're scrabbling, trying to get out of this hole, and sometimes you get up and see a bit of light and then you just fall right back down into the pits. There is a way, and there are routines, and there are things you can do or not do, like things you can remove that you're doing that can really help. And yeah, I think it's just so important to keep that faith and believe that it can happen for you. It can happen for all of us, and it will in due time. It takes patience, it takes faith, it takes courage and a lot of bravery when you're fighting with mental health. And also, I think, even just before I go, the word fighting with mental health almost seems like, sometimes it really feels that way. And I mean, at the moment, that is how it feels for me. I'll be so honest, even though I don't want to label it as that and frame it as that, that is how it feels for me. It feels like I'm actually at war with my brain, like genuinely at war with it. But there are all different parts of our brains, and a lot of them really are, there is always, sometimes that voice that is saying, that there's these harsh things you're telling yourself isn't true. And I think sometimes it can feel like our brain's against us, but in reality, we can get to a place where we can get back more control, and we can feel more grounded. Yeah, it can happen, it will happen. It just takes time, and it also takes patience. And honestly, if you told me this earlier, I would have said fuck off, to be quite frank with you, because when I say I understand it gets bad, I mean, that's an understatement. That's a fucking understatement. I know it so well. But if you're in a place right now where you can be receptive to this information, then it will get better. And sometimes better looks like half an hour. Sometimes better looks like a day. Sometimes better looks like a week. And that's okay. You know what I mean? That rhymes. That's really cool. But that is okay. And I think maybe if we stopped striving for the happiness that we've been told we need to strive for, and instead strive for peace, or moments of peace, or when we're at war with these thoughts and these feelings, we just see the little glimmer, we see the little cute ladybird. And while these horrible things can still be going on in here that we feel like we have no control over it, because I know it feels like that, maybe even though there's knives in there and there's shouting in there and screaming and blood and war going on in your head, maybe as well, not instead of, maybe that's too far of a jump, but maybe as well, there could be a sweet little ladybird who's just in there with you, and or whatever it is, a flower who's just in there too at the same time, because both things can coexist. And yeah, I just want you to know that you're not alone, and it can feel like no one understands you in this world, but you are loved. And people I think some people probably do understand you more than you think, even though it's hard to see that in the moment. And sometimes it's our job to sit with ourselves long enough so we can even find the words to explain that to another person, because sometimes that's half the battle, isn't it? So yeah, I've enjoyed this, just talking to maybe no one, maybe someone. But yeah, thank you for being here. I'm gonna do more of these. But yeah, I'm sending you so much love. Bye.